Once upon a time, a company called Natura, a Brazilian cosmetics giant, had to deal with the pandemic caused by COVID-19. I'm Aldo Nájera. Natura was born and raised in Sao Paulo, Brazil in 2019. It acquired a large US company but never imagined what awaited the world. The integration of the two was in danger, but Natura proved that even in adversity, success is possible when there is knowledge, vision, solidarity, and a great team. Roberto Marquez was the executive chairman of the board of directors of Natura and Co. At a board meeting, he commented, "We have to expand our international presence, and we are going for Avon, our great rival," said Joao Paulo Ferreira, CEO of Natura and Co. Latin America. "I agree. This way we will reach more countries." "That's right, and we will add Avon to our brands," said Marquez. He presented the analysis. Avon had dropped 44% in revenues in the last 5 years. The United States, with the adequate regulation for business, is one of the first in the ranking to do business, while Brazil is 109th, but is developing support networks for companies, being the pole of development in the region. By acquiring our main competitor in Brazil, we will surpass O Boticario and L'Oreal, and we will be able to compete internationally with leading brands. Brazil participates in free trade agreements in Mercosur and the Andean Community, and being part of the BRICS helps the United States to support this operation since that country has no agreements with Brazil. Roberto Marquez made it clear that US regulations and Natura's experience would make this negotiation possible. Brazil is the first economy in Latin America and 13th in the world. It grew 1.2% in 2019. It is the first largest consumer of cosmetics and Avon's largest consumer. The cosmetics industry grew 5.5% in Latin America, and its market share was 7%. This industry expected to grow from 19% to 26% from 2018 to 2021. In addition, Natura had a higher corporate reputation than Avon and L'Oreal. This sector requires constant research and development to launch new products. It is the one of the three sectors that invest the most in R&D. It is the most industrialized in the region, with more than 2,000 industrial agglomerations with their respective clusters in the megaregions of Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, which are development poles. The country allocates 1.2% of its GDP to R&D above the UNESCO recommendation. As you know, Natura is committed to the environmental cause, the agricultural raw materials such as palm oil, soybean, and cotton, and those from the extractive industry such as mica used in the formulation of its products, and the paper obtained from the forests for its packaging must be from suppliers committed to environmental conservation and the protection of the Amazon. We have faced global competition successfully. Brazil accounted for 6.9% of global cosmetic consumption and was the largest consumer of Avon products. Competitors such as O Boticario and L'Oreal, together with Natura, were seeking a market position by differentiating their natural products and respecting the environment. But Natura differentiated itself with the B certification, which means that we are part of a global network of companies that integrate economic growth with the promotion of social and environmental well-being. We have cultural differences. Brazil pays by the day and in the United States by the hour. Punctuality is essential for Americans. The treatment is close in the Brazilian culture. And corruption, Brazil ranks 96th in the Transparency and Corruption Index. There is a lot of corruption in the public sector, while in the United States, the level of corruption in the government is very low. Multinationals such as Natura leave their cultural footprint wherever they go. We incorporate natural ingredients in our products and recyclable packaging out of respect for the environment. The philosophy of native peoples and the respect and reverence for the land in their communities are our sources of inspiration. Natura is headquartered in the largest country in South America, with the sixth largest population on the planet, with more than 223 million inhabitants. 49.1% are men and 50.9% are women. Natura adapts quickly to changes in consumer preferences, especially in the values with which buyers identify. They encourage customers to evaluate whether the brands they buy act with authenticity. They had products for women of all ages. They incorporated men into the world of cosmetics with people such as trans and non-binary people, and with those who identify with caring for the environment, as Natura preserved nature, valued culture, and cared for the planet. Marquez then explained the financing. Natura is a free capital company, and we will exchange shares. Natura will keep 75% and Avon 24% of them. The banks Bradesco, Citigroup, and Itaú Unibanco will finance 1.6 billion pesos. As the analysis presented was encouraging, they approved the acquisition. They only awaited the authorization of the shareholders of both companies and the Brazilian antitrust and authorities, and despite Brazil's protectionist policies and corruption, they were proving that they were competitive for business. In 2019, Roberto Marquez announced the acquisition of Avon, his great rival, a great operation. The outlook was excellent. Natura would reach markets in territories where Avon had a presence, in more than 100 countries in Asia, Europe, and Latin America. For example, Russia or Mexico to compete with Mary Kay. It would increase its distance from O Boticario in Brazil. Their experience in physical store sales would help Avon. They would be leaders in direct sales of beauty and personal care in Latin America, as they would have 200 million consumers and 6.3 million representatives and consultants, and expected to generate $10 billion in gross annual revenues. This was announced by Roberto Marquez, president of Natura. In January 2020, Natura welcomed Avon. Nobody knew what was coming. The pandemic caused by COVID-19 caused confinement and closure of schools, borders, and factories, affecting supply chains. There were job losses, lower incomes, hospital collapse, and millions lost their lives. Remote work began. Retail stores stopped selling, driving online commerce. The economy contracted by 4.4%, and central banks lowered interest rates to encourage spending and boost the economy. Natura had to change a strategy to integrate Avon and to protect employees and consultants during this crisis. We have to overcome the crisis. It's time to take care of each other, said Natura. The leaders contributed from their salaries to help tackle the crisis. They innovated solutions such as removing barriers between areas and hierarchical levels. They put consultants at the center of their actions, and the digital sales channels of their consultants with e-commerce were the means of sales growth, as they now had millions of consultants because Avon they had expanded their network of people and had thousands of stores. They supported their franchisees by extending credit terms, reduced the minimum order amount for consultants, and manufactured their products in Avon plants in Brazil, Argentina, and Mexico. Contracted supplies by anticipating 30% of the value to extractive cooperatives, established sanitation and safety practices in all their facilities, identify the products with the highest demand, such as eyebrow pencil and mascara. They protect employees and sales representatives with sanitary measures and train online consultants. Thus, they recovered and increased sales in Brazil and Latin America. Online and digital sales of consultants grew by 65%. The operation doubled Natura's revenues to more than 7 billion and consolidated its position as the world's fourth largest beauty group. They had successfully integrated Avon. Now, Marquez and Ferreira say smiling, we are on the right track to face other global challenges. The end.